right. All right, what are we doing? We are cleaning this up. Cool. That is much faster. Much faster. Much faster. Macro C. I did. Were you here when I was fighting for my life with my own macro system the other day? I fixed all my bugs. I fixed them all. I fixed them all. But today we are working on Helix. Actually, I should probably update the title. Yeah, never-ending stream of bugs, of course. But today I added some APIs to Steel, and I'm going to get them into Helix. And I've been procrastinating it, so I'm going to do it today. Okay. Okay. Let's mess with the theme. Any theme preferences in the chat here? Any theme preferences? It's kind of nice. Go with that. Okay. I was in the middle of something and I don't remember. Okay, yeah. All right, so actually I don't like this. I need something a little brighter. You know, some of these themes don't have the they don't highlight my line. I kind of wish they did. Let's try this one. I haven't tried this one. I think this is new. Okay. What was I doing? Okay, I was in the configuration. And I'm just getting rid of all of the templating. Because I don't like it. Okay. I don't like this theme either. This is kind of nice. This is kind of nice. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna... So, in Helix, I've been doing a bunch of templating to generate the libraries. And the reason for that was mostly to try to keep everything centralized. But now I've decided I don't want to do that anymore. Because I think for basically every library that you have, there's a good opportunity to like wrap it and do extra stuff. In particular, this one. Like, there's a lot of... Like, some of them you're just re-exporting built-ins, but sometimes you write some macros, you're doing some other stuff. So I'm just going to get rid of this templating here, which will simplify a lot of my... Simplify a lot of the Rust code. It'll make it easier to understand what's going on there. Okay, so I want to do basically everything that's left. What's up? What's up? I could play Counter-Strike. Couple friends wanted to play earlier, but I couldn't play, and they're all on the East Coast. And so then I was like, well, I can play later. But they were like, it's going to be like 11 p.m. and they're not going to play anymore. Well, you don't have to play. But I'm a different kind of beast. See, I think the biggest reason why, like, I can't really play any other game besides Counter-Strike anymore. Like, if I sit down to play a game, dude, what do I need to do to get rid of these ads? I can't get rid of them. I'm holding. Okay. Yeah, like I can't play any other game that's not Counter-Strike because like I can play other games, but they're just not fun. Like I was playing Minecraft with some friends, but we're like steps away from killing the Ender Dragon, and then I'm gonna like not play it ever again, or at least for like a while. And then same thing for like I play some other games. I basically flame out on the game in like a week. But Counter Strike, that's a great game. I also like it doesn't affect me at all, and I think it's just because I am used to it. Like I don't like my heart rate doesn't change. Like I could just play and play and play. Like the game is so fun. All right. Let's do this. I need to finish this so that I can be done with it. You could play there's a couple games I can't remember what there's one game I've seen that's basically like does the rocket jumps and stuff. Can't remember what it's called at all, so it's not very helpful. Okay. All right. It's basically I need to take all of these functions and add them here. Yeah. Unfortunately, I picked a name that is well, a real thing. So all the good domains are taken. I have steelscheme.com. That one is mine. I need to tie it to the docs. I'm thinking about reworking the docs entirely, like new site. Griff.rs does sound like a scam. You got to work on the perf. I think it won't be really usable on an embedded device unless it's faster. Because the embedded device will be slow as shit. Am I wrong? And I think to redo the perf, I think you need to not make it a tree walker, which would kind of like invalidate your whole implementation. No, I guess if if you make it a flat AST, that could do numbers. That could do numbers. I think you should. My recommendation would be to not wait. I would not wait to implement the, like, you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to stand in the way. Obviously, I have no influence over your decision making. But if you things such as fundamentally how you call functions literally might change. Yeah, that is that is true. You're not wrong there. I'm just saying that, like for example, I remember when I first implemented Steel, the first implementation literally took, like, I remember I tried to run, like, I tried to run, fib or whatever, right? And I remember it just, like, never finished. I ran, like, fib of 40, and I said, oh my god, it's never going to finish. Of course, that was a long time ago. But more or less, like, every function I had that was implemented in the standard library, like, got rewritten because, like, the signatures changed. And obviously, you're not the one handwriting it, in your case. Of course, fib 40 is the king. Anytime I see a programming language and they put up their benchmark and they do fib of 40, but it's not a recursive fib of 40, it's like an iterative fib of 40, I immediately assume their language is slow as hell. Because I'm like, you tried to trick me. You tried to trick me. They were like, oh, I'll make my fib so fast. And then they do the iterative one. The iterative one is going to be fast no matter what. 0 to 40 is fast as hell. 100%, I think a hot dog is a sandwich. I think it's an easy answer. In fact, I'm not even sure it's up for debate. I think if you don't think it's a sandwich, there's something is wrong with your internal definitions. Let's see. Hot dog is a sandwich up until you put ketchup and mustard on it. I disagree, because a hot dog is just a burger on it, like, extended in many ways. Like, a Chicago style hot dog is closer to a burger than a hot dog. And a burger is a sandwich. Is sushi a sandwich? Yes. I think, well, sushi, but like sashimi. Is it sashimi? Is that the one that there's no rice? Which is the one with no rice? Sashimi? Which is the one with just a bed of rice? Nigiri? Yeah. Sashimi is not a sandwich. Nigiri, questionable. Sushi, like a roll, I would say sandwich. On the spectrum, it's fallen sandwich. For it to be a sandwich, it needs to be two pieces of bread. A hot dog is just a split piece of bread. Link me the Merriam-Webster's definition that says a sandwich must be two separate pieces of bread. Because as far as I'm concerned, a pizza could be a sandwich if you're holding it the right way. Yo, what's up, man? Okay, we're doing the I'm doing the getting rid of templating. I won't succeed entirely, but I'm gonna make a bunch of progress. Does mustard not just taste like pickles, or am I crazy? They are both salty. I don't think they really taste the same, though. But so, Gerblesh, if that's how you pronounce it. For your thing, I am cooking on something, but I think at the end of the day, what you're gonna want to do is just basically this, where you'll make like I didn't look at your latest commits. I'm sorry. But like you'll create the built-in module, and it's gonna do a bunch of stuff. Thank you, Bob's Your Mom, for the Prime. See, look at, we all could be subscribed with Prime, just like Bob's Your Mom. And then you wouldn't have to be like ad, even though I have the ads like as low as humanly possible. The problem is I don't take any breaks because I'm just so locked in. But what you're gonna want to do, you make a built-in module. Anything that requires the context, you can register with the context. So like, for example, I have it here. Is like you call this where you're like module.register function with context. And now anytime you call this function, you don't need to provide like helix.cx. It's implicit. However, I think setting up a module like this is good because you get a bunch of, you get the opportunity to wrap functions and things like that. Or there is ways to add docs too onto the built-in modules, which is what the rope module already does. But like that has evolved over time, so it's I think the best way to go forward is to just do it like this, because that way you don't have to wait on me to like implement an API. What I am trying to do is I have this like that's what the templating of the strings was awful. That's why I'm trying to get rid of it. I think by like tomorrow evening it'll all be gone, or most of it will be gone, and then just have everything just be in files. Then the Rust code should be like pretty clean, and I think it'll be easier for Artseer to review. So I'll shoot him a ping after I finish this and see if I can get that reviewed. I'm tired of people trashing me in the Matrix, man. Everyone is clowning me. But I'm making a new API on the, so this is, not clowning me. They're just like, oh, it's been 3 years, and I'm like, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, boss. It could emerge as probably like a year ago, but people are busy. We got shit to do. I got a dog. He's barking a lot. I don't know if you can hear it. He just keeps barking. There's food on the counter. People are still eating. But then they hit me with a like, oh my god, it's been 3 years laughing emoji. And I'm like, I got shit to do, man. But I'm working on a new API. I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. So yeah, I'm trying to basically, I don't know if you ever use like Crane Lift or LLVM or anything, but basically I'm trying to make like a little API like that for my own use first, internally in Steel, and then secondly for embedders, so that they can like, you can basically build up bytecode without necessarily writing Steel directly. That's the plan, at least. Because I think there's a lot of reasons to want to do that. Also, it's fun. So, I don't know. So, I'm going to do this first. So, I'm just chunking away at the configuration one. Crane Lift is really fun. You could probably learn I mean, if you're like interested in compilers, excuse me, I would just look at like a couple Crane Lift JIT examples, and you can probably learn like 80% of what you're going to learn about it in like a weekend. And then like the remaining 20% is way harder than the start, but like you'll learn a lot too. But like, you know what I'm saying, the 80-20 thing, where then the remaining 20 is actually like another 80%. But it's really fun. I haven't had as much excuse me, fun programming as I did implementing the JIT in like years. So for what it's worth. So I just have to do all of these. Okay. And the reason I'm doing it this way, instead of like trying to macro all this crap out, which I definitely could do, is I think it's important that this is clear to, like if people go to definition with the LSP, I want it to be clear like what it is. So instead of hiding these definitions behind a macro, I'm just going to make it a little bit more obvious. Like, I think I have that problem. Like, I'm going to have to tear this apart a little bit. Oh, my God. Correct. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you've written Python, but like sometimes you go to definition in a Python thing and it's just like nothing. Yeah. Great question. Yeah, exactly. The C modules, they generate like a stub, and you just like you just end there, and there's like a comment that's like, oh, actually. Yeah, the Starlark macros, it's the same idea. Like, it's just a pain in the ass. Like, if you go to definition, you just end up in something, and it's like, what is that something? So at least, it should work. Like, the go to definition inside, like to a macro definition, should at least resolve to the macro definition. Because it'll say like that's where the source was, at least for my LSP. And if it doesn't, it's probably just a bug that I need to look at, the never-ending list. But yeah, I try to use as little macros as possible when I'm doing stuff like this, unless I can get away with if I can get away with just functions, I'll just do functions. So how does go to definition work in an LSP? Yeah, basically you map. Okay, so it's complicated, but the long story short is the LSP is like a server that holds the compilation, but in our heads you can just think of it as like a REPL that's currently compiled the file that you're looking at and all of its dependencies. So then when you go to definition, the LSP is like, where are you in the file? Okay, go find the AST, find where you are in that AST, see what that resolves to, find the span of that thing, boom. I mean, that's the gist. Can be complicated, can be simple, depending on like what you're going to definition on. But that's all it is. It's like just find where you're trying to jump to. The LSP, it just sits instead of running like inside of VS Code as like TypeScript or JavaScript or whatever. It's a sidecar, like it's a sub process that communicates over like JSON RPC or whatever. There's a Rust crate that abstracts like 98% of the API and glue machinery, and you just kind of have to provide like the client or the server and all the crap or whatever that does it. And the only like I would say non-trivial part of it is making sure that there's a lot of non-trivial parts. I'm saying the only difference between like writing it as in process, as in inside the editor as the client, like inside the editor as a plugin versus like running it externally, is that you have to make sure that you're in sync with the client's buffer states. So they'll send you diffs and things like that, and you just need to make sure that you keep things in line. So the trick is you try your best. And then if it's out of sync when they save, you just resync. I don't know. There's ways to do it that make it not that bad, but yes, I could. Okay, we'll try it. Excuse me. I'll try it. Path completion. Did I not do path completion? I'm missing configurations. He is missing configurations. See, I only ever used the multi-cursors. See, now you're outing me as a normie. I've only ever used the multi-cursors when I select. I've only ever used them when I select. But we could try it. I already did this one. What am I doing? You know what? It's therapeutic. I'm just going to keep going one by one. It's like when someone asks you like a math question on the spot and you're like, shit, what's 2 + 5 kind of thing. All right, what are you saying? Match inside the square bracket. Alt S to split by line. Match inside the bracket. Split with Shift S on the boom. Yeah, I ain't reading all that. Sorry that happened for you, or congrats or whatever. I'm just kidding. At one point, I learned all of the fancy stuff. And then I realized, like, unironically, I really like just typing the keys. I don't know how else to explain it. There's something about it. So I don't golf it as much as other people do. But I have my tricks. Also, it's annoying because I've new lined some of these. which is making it a little annoying. All right. We're still cooking. Oh no. Everything's falling. Slowly. Are you East Coast, Gerblesh? You said Boston or something? Or Massachusetts? Not Boston, sorry. Massachusetts. Not trying to out you, East Coast. It's late as hell. Yes, I mean, I agree. Obviously, I started using Helix for at some point. Yeah, I'm on Pacific time. I agree. Sometimes I look at I don't know. I just have to sit there and think for a bit before I don't have it quite as I don't have it quite as quite as well honed as some people do. But yes, I'm on Pacific time. It sucks because I would love to just stream in the mornings because that's when my brain is not completely, absolutely fried. But unfortunately, I have to work. Bit of a bummer. No, there is an option. Oh wait, how do you register this game file? Do you load it as a string from the file first, or is there an option to stream it in? Could you elaborate on the latter case of streaming it in? There is an API that registers a source file module that doesn't exist on disk. So it's just embedded purely in the engine. So then when you do require helix dot yada yada yada, it'll find it because the resolver discovers it. And then it's equivalent as if you had the file on disk and you do require foobar. We do still output to disk, so that way the LSP can pick it up and do stuff with it. But it's not required for Helix to operate. But I can show you how we register in a second. I'm just going to finish typing these. Completion timeout. Yeah, there's register. Yeah, it's literally right there. It was on the screen. Register steel module. So it's a streamlined API. So there's you can register a source module resolver, which is just a black box. I think it's morally equivalent to the tree sitter thing, where it's a function that says return me the thing. Yeah. Or sorry, what do you mean? And you can pass in the built-in one. Oh, this is just a string, but so you need to do two things. You need to this is a hole in the API I need to fix. So there are two different kinds of modules. There's a built-in module, and then there is a source module. So the built-in module is just Rust code. The source module is like steel code that then is interpreted and converted into like a compiled module. So what you do is you'll create two things. So you'll have to register the module that is the built-in module, still here. And then the registering of the steel module is like, okay, this is the name of the module, and then this is the source of it. Then when this gets required, like when you type require yada yada, whatever, it'll also bring this in, because at the top of the module, you're gonna do that. Does that track? Now, like I was saying, in a beautiful world, you don't have to do any of this. It is all implicit. And that's where I'm trying to build like a Rust API that like it all ends up as a built-in module, like and then it's fine. And then the only last hole in the API that I have is I hate the require built-in syntax. I hate this. I don't dislike it. I would prefer it to just be require. But there's a reason they're different. They don't need to be, but there's a reason. And the reason is one came before the other one. I just like implemented one first, and then like I implemented the other one later, and I was like, damn, I wish I had done these the same. But there's a lot of code that kind of like depends on it existing that way, so it is what it is. But yeah, typically my pattern is that I don't like, I want end user code to look like this. And if you're wrapping like a library that exists, or you're wrapping like a built-in module or something like that, you provide like a steel module so that like things behave. It's exactly the same. I do this for like all the dilibs. Like I have a SQLite. Excuse me. I have a SQLite bindings. And it's like, okay, so this is an FFI module. It's a little different, right? So there's a bunch of Rust code, whatever. But then like the SQLite library pulls in the FFI business, but then just provides out like a standard steel module and then just wraps it. Like, guess what? It looks like exactly the same as the thing we were just looking at, right? But, you know, this provides the option to do some extra stuff. Okay. Let's keep going. Correct. That's what I'm trying to get there. So like the register function API does a lot of work. So there's a lot of layers to this that is hard to unwind. The first is that like every value is a steel value, right? Like it's just the any type is dynamic. And so there's a lot of like check if this is this, check if this is this, check if this. So like the register function API does that part. And then you have another level on top of that. And typically that's kind of where I drew the line, was like the built-in generates a bunch of primitive functions and like those get exposed and then steel does the rest. I agree. I think it's, in order to lower the friction for embedding, I think it would be good to have steel generate more wrapper, or like at least provide the option. It does, by default, it doesn't need to, but provide the option to have those. Hold on, we have a dog incoming. Hold on. Dog, you want it in? Okay. Let's keep going. Define preview completion insert. Helix dot preview completion insert. And a lot of these like APIs, I didn't really like. So when I started working on this, I started working on it because I wanted to stress test. Like, first, I had no aspirations, no delusions of grandeur. Like, I had no intentions of ever getting it merged. I just started because I thought it would be fun, right? Like, I took Steel and I said, hey, you know what? I don't really want to write the text editor from scratch just yet. Let me just, like, toss it into this thing. And it was, like, the way I was trying to stress test the embedding API because I had never really, like, embedded it in anything except a toy that I had, like, implemented. It's kind of like how everyone writes game engines in Rust, but no one actually makes any games, right? The same vibe. I wanted to, like, actually do the other half of the equation. And so over time it's improved, which is why, like, every few weeks I have, like, an epiphany and I'm like, oh shit, I should do that. And then I, like, add another API, but then I'm like, I have to unwind all of the crap I've already done in a way that doesn't break anybody because there's, like, literally dozens of people using this. There's something up in the corner of the room. I don't know what it is. It's kind of spooky. Check it out later. But yeah, so it's just a little game, right? Like, if I were like, you know, I've been working on a little Settlers of Catan, right? I need to get back to that. But, like, basically it's been illuminating to start from scratch with nothing and use the API as it is, and I go, okay, there's more to be done. And that's where I've developed a couple new things over the last couple weeks. So that was, like, kind of the exercise was, what sucks about it now, let's make it better. Which I also think is, like, an advantage to Steel versus other established languages, is that I have the flexibility to change the entire API at a whim. Whereas if you're interfacing with something that's been existed for 50 years, you don't quite have that option. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I don't think I've made, like, a single breaking change in this entire. I don't think I've made a single breaking change in this entire thing, like, intentionally. Obviously, unintentional breaking changes aside, but I haven't, like, chosen to break anything. Okay, I don't need cursor shape. It's already handled. Well, everyone at work tells me that no one's going to use text editors anyway in the future because they're all just going to be using agents to write all their code. So, probably just wasting my time. Exactly. I was looking at it and it was like I was thinking about the whole C compiler thing, and it's like I don't know what, like, at some point I'm anticipating them I'm anticipating they put out something that like impresses me. Like, I don't know what it is. Everything they do, I'm like, I'm unimpressed. I'm like, oh yeah? You made a C compiler? Guess what? It took me fucking 8 years to do Steel or whatever. How about that? I don't know. There's something about like everything they produce is something that you would never use. Like, until they do something where it like becomes a thing that someone actually would choose to use, I just wouldn't, like, I'm just unimpressed. Like, if they made like a brand new compiler for a brand new language that is amazing and fast and good and well documented and does something unique or whatever, I'd be like, okay, maybe the AI agents are gonna like take our jobs. But until that point, everything they do is just a worse version of something that exists. And so it's just like, yeah, it's just distilling like the data in its training set. So it's like, yeah, they spent $20,000 over a few weeks to just say like reconstruct the thing that you already saw, but worse. Now, to be fair, they did do it in a different language, but also to be fair, there is no shot that they trained on C code naively or C++ code naively. I would have imagined that they have some like AST representation that they're using. Yeah, that's the other thing too. They were like, it can't generate better assembly. That's insane. Yeah, what is the yearly rate for 20K over 1 week? 52 times 20, a lot. So what's also interesting is like, I would imagine that optimizing assembly code or something like C, it would be really good at, by virtue of it being like simple and well defined. Okay. It was good once it could compile the kernel and other popular projects they didn't follow. Yeah. I have no idea. I read the article and then I was just like, all right. Learning with AI has gotten so good. Been learning x86 100% easier with AI. So I don't know. I cannot speak from experience. I have never tried to use AI to learn something. I could imagine that as a resource with respect to like a search engine, like using it purely as like a please recall this information, specifically what I'm asking for, that could be useful, assuming that you can verify the validity of the response. I get the rocket emoji. You get the devil emoji. At work, I play around with the stuff, and it always is like, and now your thing's production ready, rocket emoji. And then that shit doesn't work. And I go, all right. Oh yeah, just let me know. The devil emoji is diabolical. I wonder whoever did that over, I don't know which model you're using. Whoever implemented that, they were cooking with that, because that is funny. But yeah, I agree. Like, if you can talk to someone, or like, I do. I mean, right. On one hand, learning x86, we're talking about like assembly, right? We're talking about like x86 assembly. I'm not like misunderstanding what you're saying. Yeah. On one hand, I 100% agree that like learning x86 assembly is like, I would say, a droll topic that is, you're reading a spec, you're trying to like understand something. I find that unless you're motivating the project sufficiently, you're like doomed to fail. And when I say motivating, it's like you have to be like doing something. So maybe in your case, you're like generating x86 assembly, or you're like trying to optimize x86. I don't really know what you're trying to do. But I've always found like assuming I can motivate it, you can motivate it like sufficiently, then however the information gets to you is the way that you'll probably learn it the best, whether that's through a chatbot or talking to a person, but it has to be motivated. I think if you go the old school route and you're like reading a book or whatever, I don't know. Like, yeah, anyone read like the operating systems in 3 Easy Pieces or whatever? That's a great book. And it's just like incredibly well written. And like I went into it not really knowing shit about operating systems, and I was like, this reads like a novel. It's so good. And then like at the same time I was working on OS stuff for class, and I was like, this is awesome. And like part of the journey was that it was like motivated to me. Let's see, 20K to generate bad assembly, peak AI, of course, yes. Learn how compilers work. Say, oh wait, that would require actually understanding. Yep, your stack is corrupted using, yeah, okay. Yeah, so again, but like I don't disagree that if you're asking it very pointed questions with rigidly defined answers that you could verify after the fact, now that you have gotten something to, some jump off point or something to like motivate motivate the exercise, or get you over the activation energy of like, I don't even know where to start, and they give you something to start, and then you could go and verify that it's right or wrong, right? Totally fine. I'm not going to stand in your way. That's fine. Sometimes you're deep in the weeds of, but also like x86 assembly is a very well documented thing. So as a result, I would imagine that an LLM probably knows a lot about it because there's a lot of documentation on it. People have been working on that shit for a long time. And so to that end, it seems to fall in line with something that it would be able to recall information on. But I think the best way to learn is to build. So you should build your own CPU. If you really want to learn, you should get out there, get the silicon, get the fabs, design your own processor, design your own assembly language. Otherwise, you don't understand it. Sorry. You don't understand it. Yeah, I don't like talking to the AI. They're gonna come back to me. They're gonna come back at me. They're gonna find a way. Just buy it. Just buy a fab. How hard could it be? How expensive could one fab be? How much could a banana cost or whatever, right? Isn't that the thing? I mean, mechanical computers are really cool. It's like, you ever go to like Disneyland or Disney World or some amusement park that has like animatronics? And then you see the animatronics and you're like, this shit is gas. It is so cool. And then like you see the new animatronics where they just like project the face onto a round thing, and you're like, this looks awful. That's how I feel a lot of the time. It was just kind of like, the mechanical stuff is super cool, and anytime I see the digital stuff, I'm like less interested. I don't necessarily like, I don't 100% stand by that, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of interesting. A biofrog computer? What does that even mean? FPGAs are cool, yes. Was it the dude who built it in his garage? The CPU in his garage? I feel like I watched that a few years ago. I don't know if that's the same one. Oh, that's horrible, but also cool. I don't like thinking about biology that much. It freaks me out. Like it low key bothers me that it's called Helix, because then I think about DNA, and if I think about DNA for too long, my stomach kind of hurts. I'm just kind of like, it's a little, I don't know why that is. All right, where are we at here? I'm getting lost in the sauce. They told you that the frogs are the future? I mean, isn't that like the goal, that the human brain, or any brain for that matter, is like insanely efficient? And that like we want computers to like achieve that ability, and instead we are like insanely wasteful, like pound for pound. When you have your Neuralink embedded in your brain and you're forced to watch ads. You know, my Counter-Strike name is Frog Bird. Emphasis on frog, not bird. Frog Bird. I wouldn't say Frog Bird. Frog Bird. That's my Counter-Strike name. So maybe I was ahead of the time. Yeah, frogs are sweet, man. I went camping last year. And we went up to Tuolumne Valley, or Tuolumne Meadows, excuse me, in Yosemite Valley. And we learned that there are frogs, like all the frogs there are basically dying because people brought fish to the alpine lakes, to which in the entirety of natural history there were no fish, because fish cannot swim up waterfalls. And then the fish killed all the frogs. And so the only places where the frogs can survive are the lakes that are remote, or the fish have died, or there are fish that cannot survive the winters. So then the frogs live there. But in most of the places, there's too many fish. So they have to go like little lake by lake, and they have to exterminate all the fish, because also all the birds eat the frogs. And some of the birds, there's certain kinds of birds that specifically spread the like acorns of some of the trees. And it's literally the only the bird can break the nut, or the acorn like casing, for the tree to be planted. So it's basically like one person brought a bunch of fish up to the alpine lakes, and now no trees grow. It's insane. Well, first it's incredible, but also like it's crazy. The squirrel was probably fine though, you know? Okay, we're almost done here. Well, almost done with this part. There's a lot more to do. But it's all about the journey. Oh yeah, isn't that like vine looking thing? I've seen pictures of it. It's actually insane. Yet another thing, if I think about it too much, it freaks me out. Okay. Like, primary roots can weigh over 400 pounds. Humans really are the problem. Like, literally every plant ever was like, we're just chilling. And then we came along and we were like, what if we just moved you to the other side of the world? Well, that's the problem. It may take longer to rebalance than we will be around for. And as a result, we'll just suffer the consequences. I mean, I'll probably be dead by that point. Unless the Neuralink keeps me alive. I think I would rather die than become a cyborg. You will do no such thing. Oh my god. We're almost done. Okay, I did set key bindings. I did all of these. Let me do this before I forget. So now... Oh, no. I've already registered all of these. Okay, so I just need to go through and make sure I'm registering with context. Oh, I spelled everything wrong. Inline diagnostics. Other lines. Okay. Provide inline diagnostics. End of line enable. Inline diagnostics. End of line. One day, I won't have to deal with merge conflicts from Helix. One day. But unfortunately, that is not today. Yeah, I don't take any breaks. I should take some breaks and then run like the 30-second thing while I'm like hitting the bathroom or something. Cuz then we wouldn't get the ads in the middle of the stuff. But I don't take breaks. Okay, almost done. I really want to make Minecraft but in steel. But then I have to make like a voxel engine. And I just exactly, actually. Exactly. It would be called Steelcraft. But the problem is then I have to write a voxel engine, and I just don't feel like writing one. Like, I just want the voxel engine to be done. Well, actually, that's not true. I want to write one, but I don't have time to write one. That's really the problem here. I'm not a Rust developer. I'm a Steel developer, actually. Thank you. First off, I'm not a Rust dev. I don't identify as a Rust developer. Introduce. How does it even work? Everyone keeps saying, they're like, just use Bevy. Just use Gulp Shido 4.2. They just introduced new support. What does that even mean? How do I use it? How do I simply click open terminal, do cargo new, and just have a voxel engine? Like, I don't understand what native voxel support means. I'm sure it's sick as hell. I just need to like go look at it. I would like to learn Zig. I think I'd like it. I think at some point I will learn Zig. I considered writing it supports voxels as physics objects with good performance. I see. Okay, that's cool. So you can like make your entire voxel. Yeah, skibbity toilet physics engine. Exactly. So you can write. Okay, so I guess the point is you can make a rendering engine for voxels, represent your game state, do whatever you're gonna do. But then when it rubber hits the road and you're like, I want to like actually do shit and like interact with the world, instead of implementing the physics yourself, you can just drop in. Was it Rapier, whatever it's called, and just be like, boom, voxels equals true. It's pretty cool. I should take a look at that after I do everything else and boil the ocean. All right. We've done it. We've done it. So now I don't need that shit anymore. So this can all be deleted. This can be deleted. Okay, one step at a time. Okay, so now we just have to go through all these things that I just wrote, and I need to make sure that they're using the new context. So this is going to take config. Yeah. Okay, so we have scroll off, scroll lines, mouse shell, jump label. And I'm sure I'm going to break something, and then someone's going to message me at 3 a.m. and be like, on the latest commit, you broke something. And I'm going to be like, you're right. You're right, I did. Cursor column. Cursor line, cursor column, middle click paste. Awesome. Auto pairs, auto completion. Okay, so all of... Oh. I'm missing a function. Huh. Well, would you look at that? I think the default is probably true. Oh, default is false. I thought it was true. That's fine. Okay, so autosave with context config. This, I'm going to need it. So you say you want it to be dependency free. How are like? So that's I want Steel to be dependency free, but let's be real, I'm never getting to that shit. So then, what are you trying to do with Grift? Because like, I feel like that determines whether or not you have any dependencies. Because you might hit something that you're like, this ain't worth doing over again. Because like, I understand you're trying to use it for embedded devices, but like, what are you trying to do with that device? Well, Steel is very much not dependency free, although slowly but surely we're becoming less dependent on dependencies. But for Grift, I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, Rusty Line's really good. Re-implementing the REPL would be quite a chore. Yeah, we are cooking tonight, huh? Okay. Says he wants to be as minimal as possible. Uses an LLM that was trained on the entirety of human knowledge. Curious. Well, okay, I understand you don't have any real goals for it. I just meant like at some point you'll put it on hardware and like type some shit in. And my question is like, how much do you want it to be able to do before you're satisfied? And that doesn't mean those are your final goals. The answer could be just running on the hardware is satisfying enough, and that would be a fine answer. That's all I was. But if you were like, I want to like do text processing or I want to do something or another, I'm like, well, then you might need some like libraries is all. And then you would need to like implement those libraries. That's all I meant by that. I don't mean it in the like, I'm not trying to interrogate you on it. I just mean at some point, like, okay, so just having it is good enough. Doesn't even necessarily need to like do everything under the sun. That's fine. That's fine. Like for me, I won't be satisfied until I don't write anything but steel anymore. That's like my satisfaction. Like I mean, I'll be satisfied, but like I won't be happy until I'm just writing steel. That's like my goal. Obviously, I'll never avoid. Yeah, like I'll never avoid Rust at the end of the day. Oh, that's interesting. How do I use Zig as Rust standard C library? That's cool. I'll take a look at that in a second. I think like yeah, I mean I'm pretty in deep with the Rust stuff, so like I don't think I'm ever going to completely avoid it. But what I want to achieve is like I would love if I could get steel performance to be much better than it currently is by like spending a lot of time on the JIT. And then if I spend enough time on the JIT, my hope would be that steel like approaches the order of magnitude for racket perf, like within an order of magnitude of racket perf, which I think I already am, to be fair, but like more than 10 times or less than 10 times, so maybe like 2 or 3 times slower than racket could be cool. And then I could reasonably write like games and, you know, just like web servers and things like that. I mean, I can already do that in Steel. It's already fast enough to do that. But I want to get to the point where I don't feel obligated to just work on the core runtime all the time. I just want to work on like libraries and stuff. What do you mean recursive call stuff? What are we talking about? Also the yeah, I is there Rust Zig interop, or is it, or that's not what I mean. Obviously there's not obvious Rust Zig interop. I mean like, is there like an easy way for me to go from like Rust library to using it from Zig? Or do I have to go through trials and tribulations? Obviously I'll need like a C AP like a C ABI or whatever, but that's fine. Because I kind of want to I kind of want to make bindings for steel in Zig, just for no reason at all. Just feel like it'd be fun. What is this? Oh, that's crazy.
Recursion. Stack frame is placed at a lower memory address. Okay, so here's...
What a small world. What a small world we live in. All right. Well, let's see if this like freaking works, huh? Because I feel like I would like to write Zig, and as a reason to learn Zig, I would put steel into Zig. Okay, so it's just CABI stuff. I mean, I'd imagine it's CABI. So I could write some like really minimal C bindings or CABI for the steel engine and then just drop it into like a Zig project and call it a day. I didn't know if someone did something fancy somewhere, you know. All right, text width. Probably just have a typo. Okay. Well, maybe that's a fun like something I do on stream in a few weeks if I have the time. That could be fun just for an evening or a weekend of fun. Something about managing the memory myself is appealing. I also got to really lock in on the JIT. So that's probably what my like I want to clean up this Helix stuff and I want to get things merged. Key bindings. Then I don't have to think about it anymore for a short amount of time. Saw a talk where a guy was writing programming language in Rust. He got tired of all the unsafe, and he wrote it all unsafe in Zig and linked it to the safe Rust. Was that Rock, perhaps? ROC? I don't know if that's it. That sounds familiar though. It sounds familiar. Yeah. It sounds, I mean, I really love what they're doing over there with Zig. I love it. The stuff, was it Andrew Kelly? Is that his name? I love what he's doing. I love what he's doing. Nothing but respect. All right, so far so good. Okay, just CABI, that's fine. All right, so far so good. We're almost done with just this configuration API. Zig and Rust together is mostly about Zig build. So you just have to like glue together the like make sure you set up your build right and you're chilling. Such is life. Yeah, I think I watched this. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for the link. Yeah, I love like anytime he like comments on anything that I stumble across or anytime I catch his stream, I just like or any video that he's in or anything, I'm like, I like this guy, man. I like what he's about. Okay, so we only have a few things left. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do them. See, would you look at that? I used the multi cursors. I did it. I meant Zig build as in Zig gives a lift to Rust builds when cargo fails you, which, for example, is when you want to do cross-platform binaries and you have vendor C code. That makes sense. Or even just need to link against existing C libraries not already wrapped by the Rust. Understood. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, maybe I mess around with Zig one day. That's fun. That could be fun. I think my language server crashed. It did. My language server needs some love. I just haven't. I work on a language server for my job. And the thought of working on another language server when I close the laptop, it makes me sick. So I need to like finish that work project so then I can look at my language server and not feel awful all the freaking time I look at it. Okay. What language do I work on for my job? I am making a Java language server. It's written in Rust though. So I know a lot about Java. You know, I kind of like Java. I'll say it. I think it's pretty cool. I wouldn't choose to write anything in it, but I think it's pretty cool. It's also like not as complicated. What's annoying about Java is that they added all this shit that is like nice, but from my point of view as a guy trying to analyze it, made it harder, and it's annoying. Okay, Zig build is very interesting. Not only is it a superior build tool, isn't it? Okay, please correct me if I'm wrong. Is Zig build the thing that like, so Zig build is the build tool. And I've heard people talk about it because it like sets up a nice build graph and like does all sorts of neat stuff with it. And you can like look at the build graph before it does stuff. And it's kind of like, yeah, okay, there we go. Right. Imperative description of the build DAG that is processed by Zigbee. Okay. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. We use Bazel at work and it's cool as hell for all of the coolness about a build graph and things like that. Pain in the ass because it's Bazel, but that's besides the point. But yeah, the idea around the build DAG is really slick. Minecraft's made in Java, best game ever. Checkmate Java haters. Counter-Strike is probably written in C++. Checkmate Rust enthusiasts, perhaps. Counter-Strike's best game ever. I'd say Counter-Strike's number 1, Minecraft close number 2. I don't know what would 3 be. Maybe Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. It's a banger game. Maybe, perhaps one of the Pokemon games, From the Eyes of a Child. Me in 2003 having a great time. Slay the Spire is pretty good. No, the Java's really cool. The JVM is awesome. Like it's really, really, really cool. Everything the only thing I don't like about Java is that like I wish there were like a good way to like make a deployable artifact that was like one thing that wasn't making like giant jars. And I wish that you could like get rid of code that you don't call, but you can't because everything is dynamic. And so then you like the problem we have, for example, the problem I have at least with Java is like from the language server perspective, we have so many jars that we have to look at. And it just like all of the existing language servers just choke under the size of our class path. And so, you know, we were like, let's do our own thing because of that. So we can, and it's just like, it's really hard. It's really, there's not a great way to do it. Virtual threads are dead simple way to have as many tasks as you want without being, yeah. No, nothing but love and respect for Java. Nothing but love and respect. I think it's very, very cool. All right, one more of these. Okay, and this is gone. Okay, there's only a few more. Yeah, it is crazy the backwards compatibility things that they have done. Like, you can just run shit that was compiled on bytecode from like 20 years ago, and it will just work. Which is, look, you can say whatever you want about Java, but it is the engineering behind the JVM is, it's good stuff. Now, unfortunately, I feel like my my like development experience of writing actual Java has been less than desirable. Like, I don't really think I've had an opportunity to work on a project I've ever worked on a project that I was like, I love this project, and it happens to also be written in Java. So all the work that went into Java and JavaScript, they should have just kept improving Lisp. Well, you know, I feel like everyone has benefited though. Like, they put a lot of work into Java, they put a lot of work into JavaScript, but without all of the work of JavaScript, we wouldn't have some insane, we have like a little trifecta of runtimes competing against each other. You know, you have like all the engines that exist in Firefox, Safari, and Chrome. You got V8 and SpiderMonkey and JavaScript Core or whatever. And now all of that like compiler research has like spilled everywhere else by virtue of all of that effort. The Tomcat binaries could break the C10K limit without even needing that whole detour and be just yeah. Lisp should have been the web language. I mean, it basically is. JavaScript is Lisp. You can come for me if you want. I'm not the one talking to a computer all day. The thing, what's crazy is like I sleep on all the WebAssembly stuff. I think it's really cool though. But I feel like they just reinvented Java. But it is cool. I mean, like I guess what I'm saying is I just don't really care about it, but it is really cool and the technology is really cool. Clojure. Clojure's awesome. It was like one of the first Lisps that I learned besides Racket. Were they poached from Sun or did they willingly leave? That's the question. Or not willingly. Were they like, get me out of here? I have a Sun Microsystems mug. And a wine glass, actually. I've seen a few talks from various people who were at Sun when it got bought, and they were like, worst place ever. I was like, yeah, it checks out. Prefer ECMAScript. You know, no real world applications found for ECMAScript. I mean, everything's cool, man. Racket on the JVM is probably never happening. Unless you could figure out how to compile Shay's scheme to the JVM. If you could figure that out. No, yeah. I mean, we're so close here. I only have one more thing left. Only took me like an hour and 40 minutes to do one module. Just to think. Okay. Nice. All right, let's run it. You got an idea to speed it up for the tree sitter module? By all means. But I need to make sure this works first. Not all. The configuration is the biggest module. So that one was probably the hardest one to do. Yeah, the configuration one is the biggest one. That is a chore. The other ones aren't as bad from what I remember. Max indent retain or something. Yeah, and then so they were all. I think there is going to be there'll be some templating left after tonight, but less than there was going into tonight. So that's the hope. The JVM was always meant to be the bytecode of the New World List machine, and they're almost done. Yeah, they're almost done. Again, like, WebAssembly is really cool. I really don't have anything against it. I just, like, there's something about, like, all of the advertising around it for, like, 4 years was like this is the best thing since sliced bread, and I was like, all right. And I think the hype has died down a little bit, and now people are like, it's cool though, and it's like functioning and like doing its thing. It's just, it's quit barking, bud. Sorry about that. Hold on. Dog be barking. Well, right, they added a GC in version 3. How long ago was that? You know, like again, I'm not I'm not um I'm not pooping on I'm not pooping on it. I think it's cool. I just for a long time was like, okay, cool. WebAssembly, cool. And I just kind of like let it go. Yeah, but like if you want to make a web page, you can't just like if you want to actually fuss with the DOM, like you can't just write Rust. Okay, well, you've just offloaded all of your engineering work to somebody else. Dioxys, they did all of the work. You can? But don't you have to do a bunch of shit with it? Like isn't it slow as hell? Not that I'm out here writing complex JavaScript web pages. I don't care at all. Yeah, I mean like you just throw it in WASM and then all of a sudden it like works, right? All right. This is much nicer. Okay. Sweet. Okay, I'm just going to delete this. There is a theme. Yeah. Because I also have this whole theme API that I don't think I'm... Oh, no, I am. Where am I using it? Ah, yes. I have this whole themes API that I'm not... I am using it, but it's not really documented that well. Because you can make animated themes. I have a demo of animated themes on my laptop where like the theme is just constantly changing. I feel like Go anything that isn't Go is really annoying, right? Like Go C interop or C Go is like really bad. Well, not really bad. Okay, that's disrespectful. It's a bit of a pain. Then any like interop with any other language as a result is a bit of a pain, but like that was like a choice made because they wanted Go to be like its own thing. I have a question about this demo. Did you write that code? Zig reproduced. Oh, this is your friend's. Okay, never mind. Zig reproduced without binaries. That's very cool. That's what I'm saying, man. Zig is really cool. I love what they're doing over there. I think in another world, I could have ended up writing a lot of Zig. In another universe. Okay, so you can modify the DOM and it's performant enough for that demo then. Nice. All right, see, things have changed and I don't even know. My views are backwards and outdated. Let's see, generate module. $60 FPS. Yeah, I still don't understand what they were doing over there with Claude. I don't get it. WASM 3 is too new to know whether it will be a great universal target for G-seed langs such as Go and beyond. It could still end up the lowest common denominator. Committee driven. Okay, how does the GC work? Who is running it? I have done absolutely no research, and I'm speaking from a position of ignorance. Like, I understand they like let you add GC metadata now that lets things happen. But like, who is invoking the GC? How does it work? I guess I should read all those Andy Wingo blog posts. He probably explains it. All right, catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. It was fun. I'll push up what I have once I verify it and break anything. Obviously. Yeah, don't care enough to look. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I just like someone tells me something cool about WebAssembly and I'm like, that sounds awesome. Anyway, and then I like don't look into it. It's just like I wish I cared enough to look. Native direct UUIDs. That's many people are saying this. Many people are saying this. Oh, this was good stuff. Yes. I have looked at assembly script. This is I'm not going to name I'm not going to name names of the company, but years ago I don't want to trash the company. Years ago I interviewed for a company and I needed a job because I was moving and I really needed a job. So I interviewed for this company and they were writing some Rust code and they were all stoked because they were doing like WebAssembly plugins on the server side, which was really cool. So you know, like at the time it was niche for WebAssembly to be doing this kind of thing. Not so much niche anymore. Like people talk about doing this thing, but it would be like, you know, you host this thing and then everyone can ship their WebAssembly modules over and it'll like run on the whatever. So they had this product, and I'm not going to divulge too many details. I interviewed, and they were like, cool. For your interview, why don't you just implement some tickets or some issues on GitHub? And I was like, fine. So I spent like maybe like 2 hours working on one issue, which was literally running like they hadn't implemented like any WebAssembly stuff yet. They just said that they were going to do this, And in like 2 hours, I took like WASM time or something, and I shoved it in, and I got assembly script compiling and running on their thing, and it all like worked. It wasn't like quote production ready rocket emoji, but it was enough for me to be like, look, I can do the job. And then I eventually decided like not to go through with it because I didn't like. There were a bunch of other reasons I didn't want to take the job. And then they took my code and merged it, and like it's in like they didn't merge my branch, but they just yoinked all the code I wrote and shoved it in the product. And they didn't give me any credit. Cuz like a couple months later I went and looked back, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell? That's my code." All right, what is this one? Geeks? Geeks? I don't know. How do you say it? Geeks or Geeks? I really want to like Geeks. I just or whatever it's called. You know what I'm saying? I'll take a look at this as well. Geeks. I really want to like it. But I cannot stand using Nix. And just haven't gotten around to it. But I will take a look. This looks cool. Native direct builds are the thing. All right, we have made huge progress. We have made huge progress. Okay, so then these are still doing. I'm still templating stuff, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be templating anymore. Oh, I think Stack Blitz. I'm pretty sure there was a guy who was contributing to Steal a Bunch who works there. He hasn't contributed in a bit, but he was nice. If I remember correctly. Stack Blitz is cool, I think. If it's what I'm thinking of. Let me see. Is this the yeah, you like click a button, you got shit going on. Yeah. No, this is very cool. I mean, there's all sort like I guess another reason why I don't care about web. Okay, I need to preface. I think WebAssembly is cool. I don't want that to be misconstrued. I think the reason I just don't care too much about it, all things considered, is that I simply never do anything that targets the web or the browser. I'm far more interested in native stuff, so I just like don't. I never even think about it. Node in the browser. You know, that could do numbers. That could do numbers. I mean, it's really cool. I just like, you know, same thing. It's just kind of like Stack Blitz is Rust. That's cool. Okay. Alternative. Got to talking to the Stack Blitz about web container implementation at the party through during config. Config. What is that? I've never heard of that. I'm guessing Figma stuff. Was that in the Bay Area, perhaps? Nice. Do you live in the Bay Area? There's a Lisp meetup in a couple weeks in Mountain View. I will be there. Oh, Sacramento. I don't know if I would drive to the Lisp meetup from Sacramento. It's too far, and it's not good enough. I would say it is not good enough to warrant that drive. It's just like 3 hours at like it's fun, but it's not worth 3 hours. It's not worth a 2-hour drive by any stretch. Sacramento's nice. Been a handful of times. Light the Beam or whatever. Yeah, that one. I'll be there with a couple buddies from work. We were gonna pull up. Please don't kill me or whatever. I'm just joking. In Minecraft. The guy that co-wrote Little Learner goes. Who is that? He goes? Dan Friedman? Oh, he's doing the talk, right? He's doing the latest talk. The JavaScript in or the R7RS in Lisp, right? I mean, I think it'll be cool. I'll be there. And shove this bad boy up there. We are almost done for tonight. Almost done. And I think this whole thing is going to get moved out. I'm going to make Yes. Well, if you decide to go, I mean it's in a few weeks, so you have time to decide. But if you decide to go, let me know. I'll be there. Include stir X. Okay. This has been a fun stream. This is a good time. All right, let's test this, and then I think if everything works, I may be done. I gotta get to sleep soon. Fix up my warnings, and then I'll spend a couple minutes just cleaning it up, and I'll push. Make sure I didn't break anything obvious. And then I think tomorrow I'm going to try to cut a release for steel if I can. New release, push a new release. Maybe tag a release on GitHub so I can get some binaries out. Nice. Here we go. It worked. And then what was that warning? $14.51. Is there actually a warning? No, there's no more warning. All right, sweet. Let me just... Is there any obvious ones here that I can fix? Yeah, I'll just move this up here. And then I'll need to I'll need to get rid of the templating for basically all of this shit. And then, yeah, there's not. Okay, so that'll be oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, this editor API will be next. That's next on my to-do list. Okay, that one's not that bad. It's not nearly as bad as the configuration one. Okay, cool. All right, well that'll be it for me. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it. This was fun. I will catch you all in the next one. Probably, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. All right. Catch y'all later. Have a good night.